the LA Probate expert. And this is our Thursday weekly, probateweekly.com. We do Thursday, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern time. And we do this, we invite wholesalers, investors, new and experienced real estate agents and brokers, vendors, we get sometimes petitioners, administrators, attorneys, to talk all things probate real estate. And the idea is to help us all make more income and build more wealth. And we do this every week on Thursday. It's a Zoom call. You can register at probateweekly.com and get the link to that. Or we also stream it live to YouTube and Facebook and LinkedIn. And if you watch it there and you put comments into the comment section, we will do my best to check those along the way. But really, this is designed to be interactive. There's a lot of webinars. I know when I get invited to one and it's just a recorded thing, I find those kind of boring. The purpose of this is to engage and give people a chance to participate, to ask questions that you might think are too stupid to ask. They're not. I assure you, if you have that question, other people have the same question. So participate. Love to see you involved here, and let's have a good time today. Today is Thursday, December 30th. Tomorrow's a legal holiday, though I'll be working tomorrow. Escrows are closed, banks are closed. It seems like a lot of people are already in slow motion with the holiday period. So I thought it'd be appropriate to kind of wrap up the year, talk about what we did, and then talk about what I have in store next year for my business, and then kind of challenge you to kind of plan next year to be your best year ever. But to make that happen, we got to get started right now. So I want to start off with just kind of a quick review on my business. I'm a real estate broker here in LA. When I tally up, I go on the MLS or go on my company software. I end up with 42 sites in the MLS, 30 closed transactions. They trend a little smaller. I got a lot of small lots last year, land. So about $12.5, $13 million in closed sales. My best year ever in commission dollars, by far. And the thing about probate real estate is I want to say about half of that's probate transactions and half is not. I get asked this question a lot because when you, as a business person, you want to focus a certain area for your lead generation and to be an expert in at least one field. But I can tell you that when you establish yourself as an expert, people assume you can do the basics. And so I've got a lot of non-probate business. People ask me all the time, I have a house to sell. Can you help me? And the answer is, well, let's talk about it and see if I can. And usually the answer is yes. This Zoom call we do today, it used to be a conference call we did live pre-COVID. I did that once a week. I would get about 15, 20 people in that call. But when COVID shut down the court, I made a real concerted effort to turn this into an online business. So here we are now at the end of the first full year, in our second year doing the Zoom calls. And we've had over 3,000 people register to come on the call. We average about 40 people live a week. So in the course of the last year and a half, we've had about 2,000 people attend, 2,000 different individuals over time attend this particular call. We started a YouTube channel this year in March from nothing. And I have 570 or 580 subscribers. What's fascinating about YouTube is I can tell you that I have on average about, I want to say 6 hours a day of people watching the YouTube channel, which is mostly these calls, and then these calls cut up into smaller pieces, and then one content piece a week. And so as a business, whether you're an investor, wholesaler, or real estate agent, I would say the power of social media, as long as it's authentic to your brand and your skill set, is an incredibly powerful opportunity. It is a lot of work. I mean, I bought equipment in addition to microphones and cameras and computers, and I have the fancy little live on air sign behind me now. It's hard to see because the computer resets, so the cameras will far out. It's a constant process, and I don't want to make it sound easy for anybody. I want to say it's been a constant process. I've got a lot of help along the way and coaching, and I'll continue to work on it next year as some big plans. So that's a recap of last year, my real estate business, and also I would say as a national team. I started at COVID with just my business, and I can say today I have a total of 19 members of my team, and that's growing. And in fact, we just opened up. My first team member is a very productive probate agent in Georgia. So one of the things we're working on for next year is expanding nationally our teams. We have more referrals, and we can work with more vendors nationally be more productive as a company. So that's what we're working on. That's what we've done so far this year. Next year, we want to go from one other state to expanding into about 4 or 5 others. I'd like to be in Florida and New York, Michigan next year. So if you're interested in joining our team as a probate agent and having us help you expand our footprint while helping build your footprint, let me know. I'd love to talk to you about that. So that's our plan for next year, is to continue to grow this channel, to continue to grow these calls, to be more effective. I don't charge for coaching. I have nothing to sell other than if you need to sell a house, I can help you. I do get agents that call me with referrals. I love help agents. If I can help you sell property, love to work together on it. I do investors and wholesalers. I sell property to and for. Love to help you with that. But I just want to remind you, I'm not selling any coaching, any method, any particular data. When I have vendors who come on here, they are people I work with or can recommend, but I'm not getting paid by any of them in any way, shape, or form. So that's kind of the past, and then the future next year, what we look like. We're going to grow our online series. We've been doing a real estate investing program and this probate program. We recently launched a home buying seminar. We're launching a conversion of buyers weekly program for real estate agents to help convert buyers in contracts. We have an out-of-state multifamily we launched this past year, and a remodeling we launched this past year. And we do some more out-of-state investing turnkey single-family homes. I will be adding that next year as well. So my goal here is to really help my team by growing our online presence, by sharing our resources. And hopefully, if you like what we do, you'll like some of the other pieces that we offer. And if you think of things that you'd like to see us talk about or go do a deep dive for you, feel free to reach out to me and give me those ideas. I'll be glad to work on them. So that's our last year. That's our plan for this coming year. I'm so grateful for everybody's participation. It's just been a real honor. Every day I get people call me for help. But the truth is, by helping other people, I get the benefit of helping them. And my business has been blessed tremendously as a result of that. So thank you to all those who've been on the calls, questions, put notes in the chat box. Of course, subscribe to the call if you like it, or thumbs up if you like it. We're glad to have all that support as well. So that's a brief overview. I don't want to toot my horn too much, but some of you have been invested with me. I see some of you have been on the call almost weekly for a year and a half. I really appreciate support and want to let you know where we're going together, and also invite you to help me chart the course that's going to help you be productive in your business. So I have a couple questions I want to go over. Anybody have any first comments or questions that I talked about, or questions regarding their probate real estate business? Winston.
Thank you for there, Bill. I wanted to ask you, you mentioned you did roughly 30 transactions this year. Roughly half came from probate. So I'm going to ask you about the probate side of that. Did that come from primarily existing relationships there with probate attorneys, or where was the majority of leads generated from, please?
So, as you know, I teach there's 11 different ways to get probate sales, and I probably actively work 5 or 6 of them. So as I go through them, a couple are attorneys that I met in the course of the last couple of years by marketing to them. A couple are probate petitioners who I market out to via postcards, phone calls, or social media. A couple I brought buyers, investors, and bought property at court at the overbid process. One we bought was MLS Full Authority that I teach a class on that. I market to attorneys on helping them with estate planning, and then in return I get some referrals from them. So what's really interesting is of the 15 actual probate transactions, I probably have 1 or more from transactions from 4 or 5 different methods. I really haven't calculated that. It'd be an interesting exercise to go back and do that. But what I want to say is I do a little bit of all of it. And my thesis is I want to look where there's synergy to my business. I want to play to my strengths. And so by working with attorneys and then working, for example, the court overbid process, who do I see in court when I'm overbidding is attorneys. But what a magical way to market to an attorney that's an expert than by not only being in court, but by doing a great job and impressing them while I'm there. So great question, Winston. To answer your question, I know this is unlike other people. Most people I meet who are successful in probate either cold call petitioners or mail petitioners or just work as investors. And I've taken the opposite approach because LA is such a large market and also a very competitive market. I decided to attack the market from multiple angles and try to pick one or two from 5 or 6 or 7 different ways.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Veronica Jones, I see your hand up.
Hi, yeah, I just have a really quick question. Where do you start when somebody says to you, I have a home in probate that I either want to sell or buy? Where do you start? Well,
2 different questions, obviously. So if you want to role play a little bit, when they call me up, I'm going to ask them. So you have a probate property that you want to buy, meaning you don't own it, you're not a party to probate, you're just a buyer, and you know it's in probate?
That's correct.
So I think and are you a real estate agent or investor? What do you do?
So I'm a real estate agent. But this lady that came to me, so this is a real life situation.
Great.
Her grandmother passed away a couple of years ago, let's say, 2015. And the property is now in probate, and there are 4 or 5 siblings, and they've all told her that she can buy it.
Great. So the and the property is in Los Angeles County?
That's correct.
The probate's in county. There is an open probate. Is she the administrator or executor of the probate?
Her father is the administrator.
And does he have full authority or limited authority?
That's a good question.
So I could walk you through the process offline, but what I would do is look up the case and find out who they are, where the probate is, if it's a full authority or limited authority. If it's full authority, pretty much the administrator can do whatever he wants, pretty much. Now, as long as nobody's arguing with him. If there's 4 siblings that are all in agreement, he can agree to sell it to her and go through whatever process he wants to do that. He would have to file a notice of proposed action that he's going to sell the property to her for how much, and file that with the court in order to ensure the title insurance. But basically, no more than that. If you'd like, Veronica, I'd be glad to offline look at the case and walk you through the process. And that way, here's the thing that you want to think about, though. You also be a resource to your client, and also it's a great opportunity if you meet the attorney.
Absolutely. I agree. Yes. And I will, maybe after the new year, give you a call and we can talk about it. I would appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks.
You're the best.
Help out. Thanks.
Thank you.
And Veronica, you're in Los Angeles. What part of LA are you in?
I'm in, my office is in Santa Monica, Santa Monica and Marina. I live in Venice, and this house that we're talking about is in Los Angeles somewhere.
Nice.
Yeah. Thank
I'll
you.
help you with that. My pleasure. I have a question from Angel. Who would charge you to find a property for a nonprofit organization? Angel, I don't know. When you say a property, and of course, this call is more focused on probate property. I don't know that would be the right approach necessarily for a nonprofit. But what I would say is nonprofits have a unique opportunity to buy properties in foreclosure. There was a change in the law last year that went into effect this year, where when property is sold at trustee's sale, even when it's bid back by an investor, a nonprofit can overbid and get the property. And that might be a strategy to look into, somebody who's able to help you with trustee sales with the new laws and the changes that are there. So I would look into whoever's active in the trustee sale market in the county you're in. Angel, can you tell me what county are you looking in? What area? He's muted. So not knowing.
Sorry. I'm looking in LA County, somewhere like in the Whittier area.
Nice. So, I would look at auctions.com. Will show you properties that are coming to foreclosure sale in the area that you like, and there'll be a couple. But as a nonprofit, you have a competitive advantage in the marketplace versus a regular investor or regular customer. And if it truly is for a nonprofit, I would take a look at those properties and try to find a way to buy those properties using some assistance. Are you a real estate agent or investor, or just looking to help out the organization?
I actually started the nonprofit, and I'm in the process of getting my realtor license. I'm actually working with Jim Ford. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him.
No.
No. Okay. Well, I'm just trying to look for resources to see how we could run the nonprofit out of either a warehouse or a home.
Nice.
And that's why I just wanted to see what the options were.
Nice. So I would say, if you want to reach out to me offline, I'd be glad to walk you through a little bit. But in general, I look at foreclosure properties, auctions.com in the area that you like. If you find something you like, bring it to my attention. I have a friend who works the auction market pretty closely. But again, the market overall is competitive. Most buyers, will tell you there's not enough inventory. But as a nonprofit, you have a competitive advantage, specifically in the foreclosure space.
Okay, sounds good. I'll go ahead and connect with you after.
Yeah, great. Thanks.
Excuse me, Bill, does that hold true throughout the country, or is that just in LA about the nonprofit?
It's true in the state of California.
Okay.
We passed a law in California. Very, very few people know about it. Tremendous change in the real estate market as a result. Where there's two types of foreclosures. There's what we call administrative. A trustee's sale is administrative because when you borrow the money, you kind of agree ahead of time. If it goes to foreclosure, the trustee can take the property and sell and pay off the loan. And you don't really need to go to court for that. You have to post a 90-day notice and then a notice of trustee's sale, and then there's certain rules on how they do that. A judicial foreclosure, very rare in California, common in many other states, is you literally go before a judge before you can foreclose on a property. And so in California, they didn't change all of our home loans to judicial foreclosure, but they kind of did. It was a way for the politicians to give to people who were behind their payments kind of free equity. Because now on a trustee's sale, if you're behind your mortgage, the trustee can take the property and foreclose and sell it at auction, but a nonprofit can come in and overbid an investor. As a result, investors are hesitant to buy properties because they have to come up with cash. Cashiers check that day and all the work and research, and then to be overbid by somebody who has an advantage over you. So I don't know how that business gets restructured. It'll take some time and people will figure it out. But for sure, in the meantime, nonprofits have an advantage because they can overbid. They can find out what the final bid was and then overbid it by $50 and take the property from an investor who put the time, effort, and energy to go to court and win it at the auction. I think you have 45 days from the auction date to overbid the investor on those properties. So that's a law they passed in California. You say, well, why is that not good news? Well, the problem with that is now, if investors aren't bidding on the property, then the properties at foreclosure are going to sell for less. You say, well, how can that be bad? Well, the lenders lose money. That's one problem. But the other problem is the lenders won't foreclose on the property. They'll say, well, we'll just hang on to it. And what happens is we have more and more, we're called zombie properties, where someone's living there, they're not paying on the mortgage, and they're not taking care of the property, and the neighbors experience whatever that means. So again, that's the challenge going here in California. Okay.
Thank you.
My pleasure. I have another question in the chat box. Anybody else live have a question real quick before I move on? So this next question, I'm going to do in the form of a quiz to all the real estate agents online. If you're a real estate agent, if you're licensed, and your business is helping people buy or sell property, put in the chat box yes, if you would, or raise your hand if your video's on, or unmute and say yes. I want to see the real estate agents. How many do we have real estate agents? Tamika, Winston, who else? We have real estate agents. Patricia's scared to put her hand up. It's you, Patricia. Nan Frieza, yes. We have quite a few. Joanna, no is. Yes, very good. Ron, Edison, very good. Okay, a couple more hands. Evie, Vince. Okay, good. So this is a question for you guys. I got this question today from a colleague of mine. She's with the XP. What's her name again? Sabrina Rose from a sweet gal from Alabama. She calls me up and says, Bill, what do I do my client, their mother passed away. So there's a probate, and the attorney's asking for an appraisal. Do we need, but they're asking me for an appraisal. I'm a real estate agent. Now, there's such a thing as an appraisal license and informal appraisal reports. Normally, we as real estate agents can either do a broker price opinion, or maybe we can do a comparative market analysis. We don't normally do appraisals. Normally, appraisers do appraisers. That's a tongue twister. Appraisers do appraisals. Realtors don't do appraisals normally. So she's asking me, do I do it? Or they're saying contract with an appraiser, or should I pay for it? Or does the court hire an appraiser to do it? So what's the right next step? You're the realtor who got that phone call. What's the next step you want to take? What do you want to do? Vince raises his hands. Vince, what do you want to do next?
At that point, what I would say to that client is I would direct them back to the attorney. I forgot, did you say the attorney asked this question or the client asked the question?
The attorney told the client says to the realtor, ask your realtor for an appraisal. Okay. So she's saying, well, what do I do?
Okay, got it. So at that point, since the attorney doesn't know the process, I would direct that client that they would have to have their actual licensed appraiser, because realtors cannot get involved with appraisals. Okay,
so you're saying direct them, refer them to an appraiser. Maybe if you have an appraiser, you might want to send a name and number. Okay, that's an answer. Who agrees with that? Who has a different answer? Now, if you're a realtor, you raise your hand, so you either have to agree or disagree. And the more you participate here, the more money you make. So I'm going to be a little pushy if I can. Nan says she thinks the court orders appraisal. Okay. Lemuel Jackson says do a comparative market analysis. Okay. Ron Essence is court ordered appraisal. Okay. Patricia says offer BP or CBA and let them know they should get appraiser as per procedure. Okay. Did all the realtors answer that question? Winston, go ahead.
I've answered that question in a couple of different ways. I've actually done BPOs for this situation, but what I prefer to do is refer it back to a licensed appraiser. It'll take it back to the date of death and establish it for estate planning purposes that way.
Okay. So refer it back to an appraiser, get date of death appraisal.
And then the estate pays for it.
Okay, estate pays for it. Okay, great. And Vince, your hands up. You want to put an answer on this as well?
I'm sorry, I forgot to lower my hand.
Oh, okay, no charge. No extra charge, Vince. We won't charge you twice for that. We'll refund you if we do. Okay. And Evie says probate referee. Okay, so let me share with you a couple possible answers, and I'm going to give you what I think is the right answer. You tell me if you agree afterwards, okay? So let's get our terms correct. Somebody said that we're realtors, not appraisers. That's correct. So we might offer a broker price opinion or competitive market analysis. We might do that. We probably should do that right away anyhow as part of our business. Depending on the probate, they probably need an appraisal that in California is referred to as an inventory and appraisal report done by a probate referee. Now, between me and you, the probate referee is basically an appraiser, and the inventory appraisal report is basically an appraisal report. But normally, when the court orders it, they also include the personal property and multiple properties, basically all the properties of the estate. And as somebody said, they need something at the date of death and now to establish taxes. And or somebody might want a certified appraiser for a more detailed analysis. So the three possible activities: there's the realtors, there's the appraisers, and then there's the court-ordered personnel. But I think the right answer is none of those. I'm going to give you my answer, and I'll let you guys vote on that if I'm right or wrong. Number one thing people ask me about when they're engaged full-time in probate marketing. They got a couple deals going, a couple listings going. What and what a agent who's a full-time agent making decent money who wants to go to the next level, what they're always asking me is how to get referrals from attorneys. That's the number one thing I get asked to do all the time. Now, I'll say I started in this business with a little advantage. My father was an attorney. He passed 25 years ago. He didn't help me as a realtor. I knew from the time I was young how attorneys work, his partners, how their business was run, their style. I've been to court, I was comfortable in court. But the obvious way to get more referrals from attorneys is to talk to more attorneys. And so when your client says to you a question and they're in process in a probate and they don't know the answer to, that's the perfect opportunity to say, you know, I'm not clear on what your attorney is asking for. Is it okay with you if I call them and ask them exactly what they need so we can get them what you guys both need? Now, what customer is not going to say yes to that? You're offering to, they're scared to call the attorney because they don't really know what to do. They're not as comfortable with that process as you are. And theoretically, you're going to be a little comfortable with that. So now you talk to the attorney, you're asking them, I'm not clear, I talked to Betty Jo and she said you need an appraisal. Do you really need an appraisal from an appraiser? Do you need my broker price opinion? Or are you talking about a court-ordered probate referee's report? What would attorneys say if you asked them that question, do you think? Or how would they feel about you as a realtor if you asked that question? Anybody?
I don't know. Would they probably think you may be a bit inexperienced?
Well, no, you're not inexperienced. You know there's two types of appraisals. You're asking them what they want. If you're saying to them, I don't think your customer understood what you asked for. Rather than her call, I decided to call you directly. Are you looking for me to do a price opinion? Or to help you find an appraiser to do a formal appraiser's report? What is it that you're looking for? And they'll tell you, they'll say, oh no, we don't need an appraiser report. We just need your opinion about the price because sometimes the attorney's asking in the beginning because they need to estimate the value of the estate. They don't need a firm number. Nobody's gonna hold them to it, but they want the best estimate. So when they file the papers, they're gonna publish to the world, we're now getting rid of probate, the estate of deceased Joe Smith, and the estate's worth approximately $1 million. They're just looking for a number. Is it $500,000? Is it $5 million? What's the property worth, right? So in that case, they're just looking for your kind of best estimate. Sometimes they'll say, well, we're trying to determine how much equity there is because they want to borrow some money against the equity. So they need you to do a broker price opinion. And sometimes they might need an actual appraisal. It could be any of those. But my point is, this is the golden opportunity to start the relationship with the attorney. Hi, Joe Attorney. My name is Bill Gross. I'm a real estate agent for Betty Boop. She called me and asked me for the appraiser. I'm glad to help do whatever you guys need. But I don't think she's clear on what you're looking for. Are you looking for a broker price opinion? Are you looking for an appraiser to do an appraisal? And how can I help you? And you want to open the dialogue once you're there. Now, if you've done one probate your life or zero, odds are if you've been in business as a full-time agent, you've done one or two almost accidentally or coincidentally. But even then zero, you can say you're on a team of experts of probate. You guys meet every week to learn the best practices and to provide the best service possible to estates and attorneys like you, because you guys all belong to a team. You're on this call, right? I mean, really, we all work together. We work together more than most real estate teams who actually call themselves a team if you're on call every week. So don't be shy about telling them that you're involved in a probate team. And look, if you have a question, I'm here to help you. You can call me, text me, email me. I don't care if you're competing. I don't care if it's in LA. I mean, I'm not looking to put myself out of business to a point, but you guys get a deal or two, need some help and have questions. I think I've shown you on the call. I'm glad to help answer the question. So my point of all this is to say the opportunity you have is to call an attorney. And you might say, I'm not comfortable talking to attorneys. Well, how do you think you get comfortable talking to attorneys? Anybody want to guess how you get comfortable calling attorneys?
By talking to attorneys.
There you go. That's the magic. Abby says, well, you know what you're talking about. Yeah, you know what I know what I'm talking about because I've done it lives. I look for the opportunity to call the attorney and talk about it. Now, I will say, like all people, some attorneys are jerks. Some of them are unreasonable. Some of them are unavailable. Some of them have their own realtor and don't want to work with you. Some of them hate all realtors and think you're a jerk. I'm willing to take that shot, because if you think all realtors are idiots and then you talk them on the phone, most attorneys figure out pretty soon, I'm not an idiot. You don't have to be an idiot. How do you solve being an idiot? Learn the material. Learn what you're talking about. And at a minimum, be nice about it. And if you don't know what you're talking about, just fess up and say, I don't really know that much about it, but I am on a team and I have an expert who's done hundreds of probates and works with attorneys across the country, and I'm here to get you whatever resources you need. Follow me? Now, here's the thing I also know is if you call the attorney and they are a jerk and they're hard to get a hold of, or they're going to charge the customer a lot of money, you might go back to your customer and just tell the truth and say, is this really the way you want to go? Because I found plenty of cases where we've taken the customer to another alternative and they save a lot of money. So I'm not saying go in with that in mind. I'm saying your job is to serve your customer. You can only control what you can control. You can call the attorney and try to help. And if they're stupid about it, if they're not serving their customer about it, then your job is to go back to your customer and have that difficult conversation. Say, look, I'm not here to cause problems or get me in trouble. I'm worried though for you. You want to sell the house, you want the money from it, right? I don't think your attorney really knows what they're doing. Why would they turn down a phone call? You asked me for an appraisal. I was trying to make sure we understand what they need to get you what you want. That's a tough conversation to have, but have the courage to have it. And by the way, once you've had that 2 or 3 times, the 4th time will be better and easier for you. So my purpose of this conversation today is to get you to think about what's your job. When they call and ask for appraisal, it's not to get the appraisal. Your job is to serve the customer. Sometimes it's to get them what they think they want, and sometimes it's not. It's to ask the questions. And I will also tell you that if you can establish a good relation with the attorney, you can learn from them about the process, and you can also be a resource for them. I'll give you another example. One way that I help attorneys regularly is as a real estate agent. I don't know if it's true everywhere, but we have an access to a service called Realist. It's part of the MLS package with public record information. So I can put in a customer's name and it'll pull up all the properties they own. If they have more than one, I had a case where I had a customer own 27 properties. And I pulled the profiles in all of them and I downloaded a spreadsheet and told them up and put estimated values on them. Do you think the attorney appreciate that information? Right? They didn't have to pay a paralegal, $50 an hour to do something like that, $80 an hour. I'm glad to do that for free because those were my listings at some point. So look for the opportunity to work with the attorney. The easiest way is when you get a request that comes to the attorney, make sure it's clear to you what it is and use the opportunity to try to reach out to them. I'll give you another example that I had, a real example. So when you're the buyer's side, you call the listing agent and ask some questions. Technically, you can't call the attorney because the attorney is the client of the listing agent. And like any other customer, we don't go around agents to get to their client. Not allowed to do it unless they give you permission. So I called the listing agent who didn't know anything. Most don't. Most of us are knuckleheads. Good news for me. And the agent said to me the magic words, well, why don't you go ahead and call the attorney? Somehow the real estate agents mistakenly believe that their job is just the real estate, as in anything that has dirt attached to it. Anything that has to do with the law, they can't discuss. They're so scared. And they'll say to me, go ahead and call the attorney, which is to me like letting me in the sorority house shower room in the nighttime when I was in college. Like letting me, the fox in the chicken coop. You let me talk to the attorney, believe me, they're going to be more impressed with me than you. You don't want me to talk to your attorney. But some of the agents are so incompetent, they don't know what to do. And if you just ask them a couple questions in the process, they'll say, go and talk to the attorney. Beautiful. And so this agent had convinced the attorney the property was so bad, in such bad condition, that you could not put it in the MLS. Okay, quick show of hands of realtors. who's seen a property so bad that it can't be in the MLS? There's no such thing, right? We've all seen horrible houses. We've all seen houses that are just unbearable to be in. I had a listing once where when I went into one of the bedrooms, because it was for cats and cat, doing their business, that I just want to take pictures of the room, and I cracked the door in, and I thought I was going to lose it right there. It was so disgusting, the smell. I put that in the MLS, right? So the listing agent says to me, the listing agent had told me to call the attorney. I called the attorney, and the attorney says to me, the property's so bad I can't go in the MLS. I said, absolutely not true. I'd be glad to put in the MLS for you. And since your agent didn't have a listing agreement, he was doubling the deal, he didn't really have a listing with the seller, I'll exclude that buyer and put in the MLS and try to find more money for the property. So again, I want you to think about this. The job here is not necessarily just to answer the customer questions, is to serve them. And sometimes that means making the extra phone call, and particularly with the attorney, make an extra phone call to be of service that it can be. Okay? Questions and all that. No?
Bill,
Yes.
I found it interesting. I've heard you comment before. I think it's on one of your YouTubes, at least one of them, where you said initially starting this, you used to go down to the court almost on a daily basis for an extended period of time, which contributed to you becoming an expert.
It's true. Pre-COVID. Yeah, I used to go. So when I started my probate business just about 3 years ago, March would be 3 years. So I took a coaching program by Chad Corbett, who was one of the founders of alltheleads.com. He now has his own coaching program, Probate Mastery, very reasonably priced. I want to say it's like under $300 for like 12 hours of training. Phenomenal, best training in the business of probate by far. On the training, he really comes from a place of challenging you to be an expert, not just to be a real estate hack. And you find that the lawyers just hate real estate agents because most of us as a group have a very low standard of professional standards. We don't dress properly when we go to court. We don't act properly when we go to court, as a general rule. And it drives attorneys crazy. So he challenged me just to go to court and watch the process. And I did that one day. I found it fascinating. I went back again. I said, well, I'll just go every day this week. I was trying to figure out what I was going to do. And then I realized I was learning so much, taking detailed notes, that I went every day for the first 30 days. I wrote my business plan out. And my business plan that I wrote included me going to court Monday through Friday. And I figured out the best time to be there was 7:45 because the court opened at 8:30. But people would get there early and sit around and wait and have nothing else to do and be willing to talk to somebody like me. So I got there at 7:45 and I would be there till 10:30 pretty much every day, Monday through Friday. And I built my business on that and learned a lot in the process. So in the particular niche that I focused on were those properties being sold at court, which in LA, because it's a large probate court, we have a lot of them. We have about 40 or 50 a month. Most counties maybe have a couple a month. So it just depends on where you are. But for me, it was very profitable. I learned a lot and met a lot of attorneys, met a lot of families there, met a lot of investors there, met a lot of realtors there. So it was very profitable for me. In fact, one of the attorneys I met, I had known him. I was on a swim team with him. We'd see each other at swim practice at 5:30 to 6:30. I'd see him in the shower. And then one day, I saw him in court and I realized, well, that guy in the suit is that guy in the swimming pool. And he swam every day. He only went to court maybe once a week. He was a pretty active attorney, but whenever he showed up, I was there. So he knew I was there basically every day. Okay. Do you have any other question on that, Dwayne, or is it just noting that?
Oh, just good to hear you review that. I found it interesting. You took that approach consistently, and you give credit for that having a lot to do with growing.
Definitely.
I'm curious. I want to do it. I'm going to do it myself here in this area.
I would do it again. If that court opened up and allowed me, I would go every day. Great. Any other questions, comments, challenges? And if you don't have any of those, how about who's got some big plans for next year to share the plans for next year?
I got a quick follow-up for you, Bill.
Sure, Dave.
Are those probate auction sales, are they fairly unique to California, or do you know other states that do that as well, or is it pretty universal across most states?
So the process is different in every state. The California is probably the most structured in that regard. There are similar procedures in Florida, I believe. I'd say in about half or a third of the states, they have court confirmation as a process. But again, because LA is both the largest probate court in the country, probate skews lower income because people who plan estates can avoid probate. So LA is I think we by far have the most poverty of any state or county in the United States by percentage. We're the second largest city, so that actually makes us unique in that regard. So we have more of everything in probate than anywhere else. But what I will tell you, Dave, is I think you're in Colorado. If I was in a more remote or smaller county, the fact they do less not only means there's less, but means there's less competition. Because I'm going to court and I'll see 2 or 3 other agents who bring investors I'm competing with. It's not as simple. Whereas in other counties, nobody's even done one. The attorneys have never even done one in their careers. The judge hasn't done one in a year. But if that property needs confirmation, you can find a way to track that. You have a chance. My experience is the less people see a property, the more chance there is to get it at a discount. So I would definitely look at remote counties more intensely. My experience is there's a little better deals in some of those. For example, San Diego, that sounds like, well, San Diego's not a small city compared to LA. San Diego is, number one. Number two, San Diego has way less poverty, therefore they have a much smaller probate court. But they have much fewer properties that go to court confirmation. I want to say they have like 5 a month or 6 a month. But I don't know San Diego as well as a market. I'm not down there. I don't really have reached down there. But I can tell you that the few I look to me to be much riper opportunities by percentage than we have here in LA. Okay.
Cool. Thank you.
Good, thank you. Let me know. Anybody here have any other experience about court sales in any other county or any other state, I guess, really is the question. Anybody have any experience with that? No?
Matt, oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay.
I was just going to do a follow-up as well, Bill, as far as in general, what is going on? The probate has the asset. The PR is looking to sell it and has to get court confirmation, and they bring it to the court, and then the court has an auction. Is that kind of a nuts and bolts of the probate auction process?
Yeah, I would say that the property, in my experience, there's 2 types of sales that go to court confirmation. There's either the realtor or the attorney or both, or the same person, or the petitioner are trying to cheat somebody. So they're cheating the state, or the state's trying to cheat. There's 2 brothers, one brother trying to cheat the other brothers. They make some sort of a side deal with a friend. They try to slide through. And they do their best to hide the property. They don't put in the MLS. They don't let anybody see the property. They make it really hard to get a competitive bid against it. And those properties show up and they're for sale at a really good discount. I say really good. For the same price you might pay on the MLS of 5, 10%, maybe even 20% discount to that price. So a property you might buy for $500,000 and put in $60,000 and sell for $650,000. Let's say ARV $650,000. They might buy an 80%, might be $500,000. or 520. So say 520 would be your 650 is your ARV, 80% might be 520, 70% might be whatever it is. Many people buy properties at 75% of ARV right now. Maybe get 72% ARV, 7%. But those, when they try to slide by, they're getting at 60% ARV. They're really taking an extra 10, 50% off the top. Then the other properties I would say are more, the agent's doing their diligent job and the realtor is doing their job and the attorney is doing their job. They come to court confirmation, in my experience, anywhere from 2 to 5% discount to what they would get in the MLS. For the same property, the same condition. So if you go and show up and bid 5% more, you might get it at the same price you might in the MLS, but now you have it, you're closing in 10 days, number one. Number two, sometimes it's coming in at 8% below, and you can buy it at 5% above that and get that 3% discount. So 3% on $500,000 is $15,000. You're saving, more than the real estate commissions. If that helps a little bit. Vince, I see your hand up again.
Yeah, I just wanted to share an experience that I had. I'm a broker here in San Diego County. And I believe this was about 3 years ago. I was representing a buyer. They were purchasing a listing that was in probate, and court confirmation was required. So thankfully, I had read most of the car legal articles about it years before, so I was pretty confident in the process. And well, long story short, I just want to say that I agree with you 1,000% when you said that a lot of the attorneys themselves don't know much about the real estate transaction side. They'll know. I mean, most of them they'll just specialize in whatever niche they're in. But for example, in this case, the attorney, they were sort of kind of pushing back at us about paying for certain things and certain closing costs that were pretty standard for the seller to pay. But the issue in the end was the attorneys didn't know that in real estate, buyers have to pay a certain fee after the expiration date for their interest rate lock if it goes beyond a certain time frame. And so I was having an issue with the attorney not following up quick enough with the court to say, hey, when are we having the court date to settle this matter and get my client the house? And anyway, so I actually had to teach the attorney about the ins and outs and closing costs and everything about the transaction. So I would just tell everybody, don't feel like the attorney knows more than you. They might know more than you on some legal aspects, but I can bet you know pretty much more than them on the real estate transaction side.
One thing about attorneys I find, I was on the debate team in high school and college. I was pre-law. So many of my friends went on to law. I decided not to go that way. One of the common things about attorneys is they sound so good about things they know nothing about. I think part of the legal training is learning how to think on your feet and kind of extemporaneous answer questions. If you think about it, almost every single politician is an attorney. And politicians are the masters of sounding like they know what they're talking about when they know nothing about what they're talking about. That's the universal truth about politicians. And I think it's true about attorneys. And so it's hard to get them to admit they don't know something. I do real estate all day long. I do probate real estate every day. And the average attorney in LA County, I download the data. The 95% of cases done by attorneys who've done one probate in the last 2 years or less. So how much do they really know? They've done one or less in the last 2 years. And real estate, how much do they know about real estate? Maybe they bought a house or two in the last 5 years. I closed 42 transactions last year. How could they possibly compare the knowledge of the business? And they rarely say, excuse me, I have a question. It's always, they know you're overcharged. Well, I know my buyers should have to pay for that. You're right. It can be very frustrating. So the challenge is you have to really create, that's why being an expert is so important, to create a sense of differentiation between you and all the other agents. If they think of you like an average agent, everything will be miserable with them. If they get right away that you're an expert, this is your domain that they should defer to your judgment on. And again, respectfully ask questions. I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. I can improve my game every day. I try to. But generally, you would expect when you ask an expert, you'd ask them a question, treat respectfully. So you got to work at that in that relationship early on and establish the relationship as one of peers. That's my goal. I dress like them when I see them. My business cards are like that. I have two sets of business cards, one for real estate, one for the attorneys that look like attorneys. When I go to court, I speak like an attorney, judge. I want them to think of me as a peer, not as a lowly real estate agent. That's the challenge. That's the challenge my coach gave me, Chad gave me 3 years ago, and why I worked so hard and went to court to learn to be an expert, not just to say I'm an expert, not just to have a website saying I'm an expert, not just that fancy marketing material saying I'm an expert, but to be an expert. And you can be one too. It's more mindset. You can be an expert today. If your mindset is, either I know the answer or I'll get the answer for you, rather than I'll bluff my way through. You know, I talk to agents all the time. I'll call them up, they know who I am, and they'll tell me how the court confirmation process works, and they're half of what they tell me is wrong. It happens all the time. I don't point it out to them. They're not asking me for career advice, so it's not my job to correct them unless they ask. But literally, I'll be on a phone with an agent after this phone call weekly, and they'll tell me, oh yeah, court confirmation, you have to blah, blah, blah. I say, and in my mind, I'm saying, you're such an idiot, you're wrong. But, you know, it's not my job to tell them that. So we don't want to be those agents. Don't be that agent. Be the expert that the attorney thinks of as a professional peer, not as some underling, a step up from an Uber driver. Okay, last few minutes. I really appreciate the interaction today. Was this topic helpful at all about talking to attorneys?
I'll say yes, it was very helpful. This is actually my first time, Bill, joining in. So just this that I heard tonight was very helpful. I still have a lot to learn, but I do appreciate this, and I think I'll start joining in weekly.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it. Having you. You have a great background, by the way. I think you won the award for most interesting background this week.
Oh, thank you.
Good. Okay, last questions here of the old year. It's 2021. Last question at probateweekly.com. Who has something or a statement or anything?
Appreciate it, Bill. As always,
Thanks so much.
Great stuff. Great stuff. Happy New Year to you and everybody else on the call. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I will say, just to end up, we're all going to end the year. We're all going to celebrate. We're all going to wish for a new year. So I'm going to give you something to think about. What if your business not only made you more money than you made before, but you were able to do it in a way that you felt that you were helping people and felt good about what you were doing, felt good about yourself while you were doing it? What if you had enough business coming in that you could choose where people appreciate you and politely decline people who didn't appreciate or respect you? That should be a goal for the next year for your profession, whether you're an investor or a wholesaler, a realtor, or even a petitioner or an attorney. We all want to use our work to improve the world and improve ourselves and enjoy the process along the way. So that's my prayer for you and my goal for you next year is finding your path to your fulfillment in your business in every regards. And I'm here to help you. So if you have questions, call me, text me, email me. We do this every week on Thursdays, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. Probateweekly.com to register. You see me on social media at Bill Gross EXP and YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram. Let me know if I can help in any way. Let's have a great new year. Thank you for making 2021 a great year. Look forward to great stuff next year with you. Thank you so much.
Happy New Year.